What was supposed to stay buried, silent, and invisible suddenly lit up the night sky like a flare stack. A hidden Russian missile depot near Kursk took the hit, and within minutes, the strike was no longer just an attack. It was a chain reaction. What looked like another long-range drone raid became something far worse for Russia, a battlefield system collapsing from the rear. ##### the night the ground opened. Near Kursk, the battlefield is not defined by one trench line or one burning village. It is defined by depth, rail links, tree lines, earthen revetments, mobile air defense batteries, fuel parks, ammunition caches, command posts tucked behind civilian infrastructure and patches of forest. This is where Russia tries to turn distance into protection. And that was the point of the depot. If Ukrainian drones had really found a hidden missile storage site near Kursk, then this was not a strike on a random warehouse. It was an attack on the machinery that feeds Russia's firepower, on the stocks that keep launchers armed, air defenses supplied, and pressure sustained across the border zone. This kind of target is dangerous for a reason. It is usually concealed, dispersed, camouflaged, and layered behind electronic warfare. The location is chosen for access to roads, sometimes rail, often natural cover. Earth berms reduce blast spread. Vehicles move in small numbers. Heat signatures are kept low. Nets break up shade from overhead. Air defenses nearby create a protective bubble. In theory, it is exactly the kind of site that should survive. But war punishes routine. And somewhere in that routine, a weakness opened. ##### a target designed to stay hidden. A missile depot near Kursk matters because Kursk is more than a map label. It is a hinge between the Russian interior and the active war zone. Supplies can move south and west. Air defense networks overlap. Rear area logistics are supposed to be safer there than at the line itself. That is why hidden depots exist in the first place. Not for drama. For tempo. Missiles are not just weapons. They are operational timing. A launcher without reloads is a threat only once. An air defense battery without stocks becomes a radar with a countdown. A strike complex without munitions becomes theater instead of pressure. So if this depot held surface-to-air missiles, guided rockets, or strike munitions for nearby formations, it represented stored momentum. Protected violence waiting on a transport order. To reach it, Ukraine would have had to solve several problems at once. Detection, identification, route planning, timing, penetration, and most of all, confirmation. Hidden depots do not advertise themselves. They reveal themselves in fragments, unusual traffic into a tree line, security patterns around an otherwise quiet location, fresh earthworks, parked transporter loaders, radio discipline that is too disciplined, camouflage that looks natural until you watch it long enough. The difficulty is not finding one clue. The difficulty is deciding that the clues are enough to spend drones on the target. Because once the drones launch, the defenders are no longer passive. #### the blind spot in the shield. Russia's defensive advantage near a site like this would not come from one missile battery alone. It would come from a layered system. Longer-range radars scan high and far. Short-range air defenses watch the medium and low approaches. Electronic warfare tries to cut guidance links, jam satellite navigation, distort telemetry, and force drones off course. Small arms teams and mobile guns cover the final belt. Searchlights, thermal optics, vehicle patrols, everything is designed to make the last few kilometers lethal. On paper, a hidden missile depot is not simply hidden. It is guarded by invisibility and interception at the same time. But layered systems have a problem. They are strongest when the attacker behaves predictably. Low, slow drones are dangerous because they force expensive systems into awkward choices. Do you illuminate with radar and expose your position? Do you hold fire until visual confirmation and risk reacting too late? Do you jam broadly and interfere with your own communications? Do you spend missiles on decoys? Do you reveal the location of a protected site by defending it too aggressively? That is the blind spot. Not a hole in the air defense map, but a contradiction inside the doctrine. The more valuable the depot, the more obvious its defensive behavior becomes once pressure starts. And once defenders begin reacting, the hidden site starts to identify itself. That was only the beginning. Phase 1, drawing the radars out. The first wave would not need to destroy anything. It would only need to ask a question. A handful of drones approaching from awkward vectors, perhaps low over dark ground, perhaps timed against the clutter of early morning or deep night, can force a defender to activate. Radars pulse. Jammers go live. Guns begin tracing fire into the black. Mobile teams reposition. Commanders start talking faster. Vehicles move. Now the target is still concealed, but its protective shell is speaking. For the attackers, this is where battlefield reality becomes a systems duel. Not drone versus building. Signal versus signal. Timing versus reaction. Patience versus anxiety. If Russian air defenses near Kursk were waiting for a classic straight-line penetration, they could be manipulated. Decoys can pull attention outward. One track to the north, another to the west. A false approach at medium altitude. A genuine one below the tree line. Suddenly the defense is not protecting a hidden depot. It is sorting noise from danger under time pressure. And time is everything. Because the moment defenders commit to the wrong lane, the route to the real target begins to open. Not cleanly. Not safely. But enough. Phase 2, the run through the gaps. This is the part of the story people often flatten into a single sentence: drones got through. In reality, getting through is a sequence of tiny survivals. A navigation correction after jamming. A drop in altitude to stay under radar coverage. A turn to follow a road, a river line, or the edge of a forest belt. A dead zone between overlapping sensors. A few seconds where an operator sees something, but not clearly enough, not soon enough. Near Kursk, terrain matters even when it looks flat. Open fields expose movement, but they also create background.
Noise. Villages break lines of sight. Tree belts hide low-flying tracks until the last moment. Industrial edges generate clutter. Every piece of land can either reveal or protect. The attackers would have needed a route that did not look heroic, not dramatic, just survivable. A drone strike on a depot like this likely works through mass, but not the kind of mass people imagine. Not a giant swarm charging straight in. More likely a layered stream. Decoys, scouts, strike drones, and possibly follow-up assets stagger by seconds or minutes. Enough to saturate attention. Enough to create hesitation. Enough to make a defender spend the wrong weapon on the wrong target. One drone shot down. Another veers off. A third disappears in interference. Then one keeps flying. And sometimes, on battlefields shaped by probabilities, one is enough. Phase 3. The first impact. The first hit on a missile depot rarely tells a whole story. At first, it may look modest. A flash inside the perimeter. A localized detonation. Smoke punching upward through camouflage netting and dust. A fire beginning where no fire should exist. For a few seconds, defenders may even think the damage is containable. That illusion kills time. Because missile storage is dangerous not only because of what is there, but because of how energy transfers once containment fails. Propellant cooks. Casings rupture. Fragments move faster than crews can think. Packaging becomes shrapnel. Vehicles parked too close become ignition points. Earthen berms reduce some blast effects, but they can also channel force and trap crews in narrow movement corridors. And then the hidden depot begins to betray its scale. One explosion becomes several. Several become staggered secondary detonations. Bright white flashes cut through darker orange fire. Smoke columns thicken and lean in the wind. The blast signature changes from single strike damage to sympathetic detonation. Now everyone in the area understands the same thing at once. This is not a near miss. This is a live ammunition fire. But the real danger was still ahead. Hashtag phase 4. When rescue became exposure. The instinct after a depot strike is immediate. Contain, isolate, save what can still be moved. That means command vehicles pushing closer, fire crews or emergency teams trying to assess the blast zone, security elements locking down roads, transporters attempting to evacuate surviving stocks, air defenses shifting to protect the site from a second wave, and that response is exactly what can make the disaster worse. A hidden depot under attack is no longer just a burning storage point. It becomes a magnet. More radios, more headlights, more movement, more thermal signatures, more urgency, more confusion. In war, panic is visible from above long before it is admitted on the ground. If Ukraine had planned to strike in depth, then the first explosion may have been designed not only to destroy munitions, but to summon the rest of the targets set into the open. A command truck rolling in, a launcher nearby activating its radar, logistics vehicles bunching on narrow access roads, crews leaving cover, air defense teams firing in haste. Every reaction creates a picture. Every picture creates another aim point. The breakthrough was an illusion for defenders because what looked like the end of the attack may actually have been the moment the attack truly began. Another drone arrives, maybe more than one. Now the perimeter is not defending the depot. It is feeding itself into the strike zone. Hashtag phase 5. The secondary L. There is a stage in ammunition fires where the event stops behaving like a single battle incident and starts behaving like weather. Shockwaves roll outward. Small detonations crackle between major blasts. Burning fragments arc into adjacent revetments. Trucks catch. Tires burst. Stored crates rupture. Men on the ground lose orientation because sound arrives as percussion rather than information. This is where hidden depots become impossible to hide. Flame towers over the tree line. The smoke column becomes a landmark. Any concealment logic that existed an hour earlier is gone. The site is visible not just to cameras and satellites, but to anyone within kilometers, and that creates a wider operational consequence. A depot fire is not only destruction, it is interruption. Nearby units wait for reloads that may never come. Convoys are rerouted. Missile stocks must be dispersed farther back. Commanders become more cautious with what remains. Air defense crews who just spent rounds on drones must now account for the fact that their own protected node is burning. What looked like a tactical strike starts to pull on operational threads. If the depot supplied missile systems protecting rear logistics, then one successful drone attack can force a chain of compensations. New positions, longer transport routes, tighter rationing of munitions, reduced willingness to cluster stocks, slower reload cycles, more burden on already stretched logistics. And all of this happens under the oldest pressure in war, the pressure of uncertainty. Because once one hidden depot has been found, every other hidden depot feels exposed. Hashtag the lesson written in fire. By dawn, the battlefield outcome will be measured in more than crater size. The obvious losses are physical. Missiles destroyed, vehicles damaged or abandoned, storage revetments gutted, support equipment burned out, nearby command and security elements disrupted, perhaps personnel killed or wounded in the initial blast and the secondary chain, perhaps roads sealed, traffic rerouted, local defenses shaken for hours. But the deeper damage is doctrinal. Russia's advantage in rear area warfare depends on depth concealment and layer protection. Ukraine's advantage in strike warfare increasingly depends on hunting those systems with cheaper, adaptable, lower signature tools. That is the brutal asymmetry here. Not tank against tank, not missile against missile, but a comparatively inexpensive unmanned platform reaching into a protected network and forcing expensive defenses to reveal themselves. They thought concealment would buy safety, but it only bought time. They thought layering would stop penetration, but layering also created patterns. They thought a hidden depot was a reserve of strength, but once detected, it became a concentrated liability. That is why this kind of strike matters beyond Kursk. It signals that the rear is no longer truly rear, that logistics nodes, missile caches, and support architecture can no longer rely on geography alone. In a war of drones, electronic warfare, and persistent surveillance, the map has become thinner. Distance still matters, but not like it used to. And in that new reality, the most dangerous target is often not the launcher everyone sees. It is a stockpile nobody was supposed to find. So when Ukrainian drones struck Russia's hidden missile depot near Kursk, the story was never just about one explosion in the dark. It was about what happened after. The chain reaction, the exposed offenses, the broken rhythm, and the message sent across the entire battle space. A hidden arsenal burned, a defensive system blinked, and for one violent night near Kursk, what Russia tried to keep buried became impossible to ignore. If you want more deep battlefield breakdowns told with a full tactical picture, stay with the channel.